Imagine looking up at the night sky in the year 2070. Instead of a serene canvas of stars, you see a shimmering, deadly web. This isn't science fiction. This is the potential future of Earth's orbit, a minefield of our own making. What we call space debris, or space junk, is quietly transforming the final frontier into our planet's largest garbage dump. And if we don't act now, the consequences could be catastrophic. Not just for astronauts, but for every single one of us down here on the ground. What exactly is space junk? It's everything we've left behind. From tiny flecks of paint and frozen coolant to dead satellites the size of a bus and spent rocket stages tumbling end over end. You might think, space is huge. What's the big deal? The problem isn't the size of the objects, it's their speed. In low Earth orbit, these fragments are whipping around our planet at over 17,000 miles per hour. That's nearly 10 times faster than a rifle bullet. At that velocity, even a small 1 centimeter piece of debris can strike with the force of a hand grenade, a 10 centimeter object. The impact would be like detonating 25 sticks of dynamite. Right now, we're tracking over 30,000 large objects. But the real danger lies in the untraceable. Scientists estimate there are over 1 million pieces of debris between 1 and 10 centimeters, and a staggering 130 million pieces smaller than that. Each one is a potential bullet in a cosmic game of Russian roulette. How did we get here? It started with Sputnik in 1957. Since then, humanity has launched thousands of rockets and satellites. Each launch, each deployment, and each satellite's end of life has contributed to the problem. Sometimes, it's intentional. In the past, both the US and China have conducted anti-satellite missile tests, creating massive clouds of new, dangerous debris in an instant. More often, it's accidental. Satellites collide, old rocket boosters explode due to leftover fuel, and the harsh environment of space just wears things down, creating more fragments. This brings us to a terrifying concept known as the Kessler Syndrome. Proposed by NASA scientist Donald Kessler in 1978, it describes a tipping point, a scenario where the density of objects in low Earth orbit is high enough that collisions between objects cause a cascade. Each collision generates more debris, which in turn increases the likelihood of further collisions. This creates a chain reaction, a runaway feedback loop that could eventually render near-Earth space completely impassable for generations. We wouldn't just be closing the door to space exploration. We'd be trapping ourselves on our own planet. So, let's fast forward to our 2070 scenario. What does this orbital minefield actually mean for humanity? First, say goodbye to new satellites. The risk of a new multi-billion-dollar satellite being shredded by debris just moments after launch would be too high. This isn't just about losing a few TV channels. Our modern world is built on a foundation of satellites. Think about your daily life. The GPS in your phone that gets you to a new restaurant. Gone. The global financial system that relies on precise timing signals from satellites to process transactions. It would grind to a halt, triggering economic chaos. Weather forecasting, which uses satellite data to predict hurricanes and tsunamis, would become far less accurate, putting millions of lives at risk. International communication, scientific research on climate change, disaster relief coordination, all of it relies on this invisible infrastructure in the sky. In a 2070 choked with debris, this entire system collapses. We'd be thrown back into a technological dark age. And what about our dreams of exploring the cosmos? Sending astronauts to Mars? Building a base on the moon? Forget it. The launch window to even leave Earth's orbit would be like trying to run across a 10-lane highway with your eyes closed. The risk to human life would be astronomical. Any ship attempting to break through the debris field would face a high probability of being punctured and destroyed. Humanity's future as a multiplanetary species would be over before it even began. The International Space Station, a symbol of global cooperation, would be long gone. Even today, it has to perform evasive maneuvers several times a year to dodge debris. By 2070, such a station would be unsustainable. It would be like living in a house in the middle of a permanent meteor shower. The threat wouldn't just be in space. While most small debris burns up in the atmosphere, larger pieces can and do survive re-entry. As the orbital population grows, the chances of a large, uncontrolled object hitting a populated area increase dramatically. This picture of 2070 is bleak, but it is not inevitable. We are at a critical juncture. The good news is, some of the smartest people on the planet are working on solutions. These ideas sound like they're straight out of science fiction, because in a way, they are. We're talking about space janitors. One concept is the space net, a giant net launched to capture a large piece of debris, like a dead satellite, and drag it down to burn up in the atmosphere. Another is the harpoon. A chaser satellite would fire a harpoon into a target, tether to it, and then pull it out of orbit. There are even ideas for giant lasers on Earth that would target small pieces of debris. The laser wouldn't destroy them, but it would heat one side, creating a tiny puff of vapor that acts like a microthruster, nudging the object's orbit so it re-enters the atmosphere more quickly. Companies and space agencies are already testing these technologies. The European Space Agency is planning the Clear Space 1 mission, which will be one of the first to actively remove a piece of space junk. Japanese company Astroscale has demonstrated a magnetic capture system to dock with and orbit future satellites. But cleanup is only half the battle. It's like trying to mop up a flood while the tap is still running, full blast. We also need to stop adding to the mess. This means designing satellites with built-in deorbiting capabilities, so they can safely remove themselves from orbit at the end of their lives. It means developing better tracking systems to monitor even the smallest fragments. And most importantly, it means international cooperation and regulation. Space belongs to everyone, and so does the responsibility for keeping it clean. We need binding international treaties that hold countries and companies accountable for the junk they create. The future of our life on Earth and our destiny in the stars depends on the choices we make today. The 2070 orbital minefield is a warning, a possible future born from decades of neglect. But the future, where space is a sustainable, accessible frontier for all of humanity, is still within our grasp. It requires innovation, investment, and a shared global commitment. We have the technology, and we have the knowledge. The only question is, do we have the will to clean up our act before it's too late? If you found this look into our potential future fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into science and technology. What do you think is the best way to clean up space? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.